Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. You know, first let me give shouts out. I'm going to thank my more recent donors, D. Stewart, M. Johnston, Passport OG, D. Harrell, and MLR. Thank you for coming through recently on the Cash App. Before we get this flight started, at any time during this Jet Black Airways flight, you may punch the Cash App button. Please enter in amounts only that are small for you. Because it's better for many to enter in small amounts, which is where my real motivation comes from, and that is with each notification. I want to give shouts out also to Dennis Sperling. Because he brought my attention to Mary Jane Byram. And Accountability Commentary was the one from whom I learned of her name. I listen to Dennis Sperling in the mornings because that's what time it is here when he's going live, and I learn from him. I cannot say that I'm a follower, but I learn from him. I understand a lot of where he and his family are coming from. Coming out of Mississippi, living on the West Coast, which for all intents and purposes is West South, because all them black folk out there come from Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. And then moving back to the Gulf Coast to study law and then to practice law on that Gulf Coast. I'm familiar with those stomping grounds. I'll tell you this. In all honesty, I got to tell you that Crimson Cure explained something, and Mary J. Byram proved it. What Crimson Cure said was that, number one, sisters have bad communication skills in their own first languages. But Crimson Cure also stated in the same video entitled Black Female Masculinity Will Not, or Black Women's Masculinity Will Not Be Tolerated, that this attitude for which we know the Western sister is a part of their identity, meaning they believe that because they're Western black women, they're supposed to have this filthy, stanky, upped fuck attitude. That they can't stop, that they can't be better, nicer. They just can't do it. You put them in the church and they still can't do it. They may try to subdue it, but they just can't do it. They've got to have it somewhere for someone, and usually in general and unaimed. You remind them enough of Zaddy and they might turn around and say it's okay. But not for your act blast. I mention this also because Mary Jane Byram stated that she confessed it. The most important part of Mary Jane Byram's video is when she tells you that after an Italian lady hotel employee told her that if she keeps ordering food from outside, she's going to have to pay this extra fine, that she continued doing it because she was told she can't. She was already doing it, but now they told her she can't do that for free. She's turning around and saying, well, I got to do it. I just have to do it now because they said I can't. Now, there's some people in the world for whom I have the exact same mother cuss word attitude. That's because they deserve it. If I were going to tell you that I can't obey certain people, I would tell you why I cannot obey them. I do not obey Egyptians. Especially if they talk to me with an Egyptian accent. In Arabic or English, I don't obey them. Actually, in Arabic, I don't obey them. For one, I won't understand what they're saying. Number two, I don't generally trust them until I know them. There could be exceptions, but they're exceptions. The rule is I will not obey them, but I'll tell you what the reason is. I don't understand the Arabic, number one, and I know what their attitudes are towards black folks, and they don't trust each other. And when you get them one-on-one, they will tell you that they're crap. So that's why I don't obey them. I don't oppress them either. But I don't put myself in a position to have to obey them, to be out of line by disobeying them. I don't do that. I don't go to their country and then turn around and disobey everything they say just because they said it. If you are a Boer South African, white South African, and you were Dutch, I'm sorry. Once I hear that accent, I have no way of knowing what kind of person you are in the very beginning. I will do the opposite of what you tell me. I would not obey a white South African police officer with a Boer accent telling me to put my hands up. Put them up. You know what? Let me see if your gun's real or not. What's the reason? I've dealt with y'all enough times at enough jobs here in Saudi to know that most of you are not egalitarians. You're just not. You're not capable of that sort of thing. So, you interrupt black South Africans and other black folks, but then you tell them to let you finish. You state things that no one's ever heard before, and you say, but these are facts, but these are facts. Well, maybe they are, maybe not. But you can't expect people to just take your word for it. Facts don't care how you feel. That's a true statement. Guess what? Since facts don't care how you feel, your grandparents did not buy that land the right way, according to their own standards of buying land. So they stole it, so it ain't yours. How about them apples? How about them facts that don't fib a guck about your feelings? There's a major difference. I'm the one that is defiant, and I know how to aim that properly. Now, if I go to South Africa, I shouldn't have to obey them. It ain't their place. And I would not oppress them either. I would not walk past one and harm them just because I heard the accent. They just can't tell me what to do. And I don't go putting myself under their authority in that manner. Mary Jane Byram don't feel for gawk. She even said when you tell her, she didn't say who it was or what they had done to her or her people to make them deserve it. She didn't say, well, because the Italians have been calling us Mulenya and dissing us and then turning around and try to colonize Ethiopia twice, didn't learn the first time because they succeeded in colonizing Libya and Somalia. She didn't state any of these historical justifications as justifications. She said it's when you tell her she can't do something. That means it doesn't matter who you are or what you've done. You said she can't, so now she has to. She was disrespectful and she confessed to it. She thinks, and this is something that sisters are just proud of, that defiance is a part of their identity. They believe that they have to be defiant because they are Western black women. Keep that in mind. Understand that. That is why they act as they act. It is not because they really have to. It is because they think they have to, because they're black and Western. I mean, the Jamaican woman is like that, according to Jamaicans. The Bahamian women are like that, according to the Bahamians. The Trinidadian women are like that, according to the Trinidadians. In the end, this is what goes along with that. And in Trinidad, Venezuelan women are snatching Trini men, getting them, because Trini women want to come with all this neck-rolling attitude. Even Indian Trinidadians got all that attitude. And meanwhile, along come these Venezuelans who don't have that same carryover from the Anglophone Americas. And if you they man, they nice to you and they sweet to you, generally speaking. And if they're going to take you for something, they're going to try to finesse you out of it. Instead of telling you that's just the price you pay to play. And then next thing you know, these guys are actually having good experiences with women from Venezuela. and bad experiences with Trini women. Trini women ain't even dating or giving them bad experiences. Oh, I work with her. I'm not her boyfriend, never was, not her husband, never was, never tried to be, just she nasty. And the ones I dated were hell. And then these Venezuelan women. And when I'm their friend, we get along well. And when I date them, we get along well. And I'm not telling anyone to date outside of marriage, but the point I'm making is that when they do, according to their own rules, they still see this pattern. And Trini sisters got the nerve to get mad. With these Venezuelan women, same shaming language, where they just don't know any better and they poor and broken. How about you fuck the shuck up? If they winning with you, why don't you start acting like you poor and broke? Act like you don't know no better. That's what you tell men to do. So the Western black woman thinks she has to act this way because she's a Western black woman. Crimson Cure talked about that in her message, in her video. She said the same thing. She stated that. Same video in which she told us about how bad sisters are at communication, even in their own first language. Same video. She told us about this. Now understand this, Arabs ain't the only one. I mean, black women ain't the only ones like this at all, point blank, period. I've seen that Arabs in general, men and women, are not very good communicators. They're hospitable and they are nice. They do start off as respectful, I give them that, but they are not good communicators. They absolutely are not on as a whole. Sometimes even the educated ones suck at it because they try to make sure you don't get to give them any information you might need to give them. Especially if they want to blame you for something, but they're not sure you did it, but it's convenient and easy, then they make sure you don't get a chance to say, wait, that wasn't me. That happened over there. Nope. They'll hang that phone up on you. Some of them don't realize that the reason I stopped talking to them at all is because they hung up. Wait a minute. Before I can tell you I didn't do it, you hanging up, we ain't talking no more. They see me later, salam alaikum. I just look at them, give them the head and I keep on going. I'm not giving them a peace greeting back. Call me a kafir. I don't care. Because if I say walaikum salam, but what I can get to wale and you're going to cut the phone off again. Or turn around and walk off. How know you're going to let me even finish? I didn't realize that a lot of them actually have ADHD here. It was one of my students that told me a lot of us have it. And that's why we interrupt so much. I do that because I forget. And I even said to him once, I said to him, I'm starting to wonder if the reason you got it is because you're the only one of your brothers your dad didn't beat. Starting to wonder about that. Because while you have managed to learn another language very well, that's excellent, you seem to have stopped learning beyond that. I told him, see, when you're learning a language, that's when you close your mouth. You open it to repeat it so you don't forget what you learned. That's how it is with any language. So when you're exposing yourself to media and learning English, you're not interrupting the lesson because you know they can't hear you. But then when I come in the room, since you know I can hear you, just cut me off every time. He said, well, sometimes I thought you were finished. And I told him, how the hell if I say a dependent clause that's not a sentence, did I finish? If you walk in the room and I say, hey, if you come in on time, yeah, I was on time. Fuck the shuck up, man. I said, if you come in on time, that's obviously a dependent clause. In both of our languages, you know mother cuss word well, I didn't finish the sentence because that's not a sentence. Both of our languages work in that regard. Same way. How am I supposed to give you any new information? If you do that, I'm not responsible for informing you of anything that you did not know before. So they got it here, but they don't have the hostility that goes with it. What you were dealing with the Western sister is that same piss poor communication because she don't have to listen to nothing you say because you ain't nothing but an N-word to her. On top of that, Additionally, she has to have an attitude as far as she is concerned because she's black and she's Western. As far as she is concerned, her naps, her nose, her lips, and her melanin count mean that she has to give you all kinds of grief. That's how they view it. That's how they feel. No joke, they actually believe that. Can you imagine? That they actually so deeply believe that their race is tied to their behavior and their character, that they think they're inauthentic and fake if they don't act like a B word with a capital B. There are 3 ways to deal with them, and I want you to notice something about these 3 ways, and then I'm done with this and I'm gone. First thing that I want you to notice about how people deal with them is that we BMPTs are abandoning them. And now Western sisters are talking about it, and Western white women are talking about it. It's the first thing. What works? Abandoning them. The second thing that works is calling the police on them. Okay? That kind of works. We'll see. But that's one of the reactions that you have to have in your pocket against them. And since in the West, the police will assume that the guy caused trouble, which is something that these ladies, white and black alike, they know and will exploit every time. That has been trumped in the West. And therefore, that's off the table. And that is related to the third way that you deal with them, which is to shock the knit out of them. Knock the soul out of them. I don't advocate hitting women outside of self-defense. Now, in self-defense or even to protect someone else, I advocate knocking out any aggressor. Go ahead, man, woman, old, young, blind, crippled, crazy. Pow! Put them to sleep. That's to protect someone. That's legal anyway. But the thing is that if you don't have the option to abandon and you cannot call the cops, that becomes the only other option. And that's what happened in Italy to Marijuana Byram. Yeah, I nicknamed her that because of the name Mary Jane. She got knocked the up out because she had a nigga attitude. And that's exactly what the hell should have happened. And she got knocked out by a chick, so she can't sit up and say nothing about these men over here beating us up, slapping us around. Because see, Italy is still the West. But they got enough of their distinctions to where they said, okay, we know exactly what to do. She's a bigger niche from the West. We know how they gonna act. Because our white cousins from the West don't act much better. She looked at the hotel employee when she ordered more food after the same hotel employee told her she can't do that without paying a fine. So she's doing this just to be defiant. And we already don't like them in 19s, period. I know that because they told my mother once when my mom went with 2 of her friends to Italy. A homeless dude had the nerve to say to them, "American colored women go home," in English. And they were looking at him like, who the hell are you talking to? At least we have a home. And I told my mom, next time you go with dad. Or my brother or me. I told straight, that's what we doing. So in any case, you're dealing with all of this. And they looked and they said, okay, well, we could call the cops and that's a big problem. But we'll do it one better. We'll show her the third option we know they're not learning. The men are leaving them. Because ain't no way that in Italy they don't know that there's no way that nobody in Italy knows that there's a phenomena that they would call fratelli di passaporti, which means passport brothers. You pluralize passports and brothers in Italy, well, in Italian, the way I just did. So if you translate it, that's it in Italian. There's no way that none of them know about it. Or maybe fratelli viaggianti, traveling brothers. Maybe. There's no way that they don't know anything about that. They probably know something about somebody at that hotel probably knew something about that. Yeah, she's probably over here following them black men anyway because they leaving these B words. And then they turn around. They may have even said, well, she's probably out here selling something, but we can't prove it. So let's get rid of it. This is a perfect way. And we're going to get that money in the meantime because she up here putting makeup on the pillows. Stank yourself. Man, really. That's how you deal with them. That's the only way to deal with them. Those three ways. And I want you to notice that these are the stories that we are now seeing. And these are the ones that are really getting their attention. They don't give a rat's behind about anything else that anyone has ever done except knock them out. And if it's a dude, they just call the cops on the guy. But this time they can't. So being abandoned gets their attention. Going to jail gets their attention. And being knocked out, not even by a dude because they don't feel hopeless in that case, but being knocked out by another woman whose word is equally powerful to theirs, to the police who show up, gets their attention. And even then, when they talk, they can't completely depict themselves as innocent because the sister just has to come out and they just got to tell you about their attitude. See, I got this thing in me that when you say, they always say that. If you listen to them talk in regular conversations, they're going to say something like that. And we need to start looking at all the reasons for which they disqualify men. And when you hear them say that about themselves, you disqualify them because they will tell you something about themselves every single time, just in conversation. They will tell you something about themselves for which they would disqualify any men if they found this in them. It's always that. And when you start thinking about the things for which they disqualify men, after a while, you come to realize that as soon as they open their mouth, you're going to have to disqualify them because there's something in them that will disqualify men just for saying hello. Well, you know, if a man approached me, I can't be with him. But you can't approach a man. So how the hell you got a 3-digit body count? One of those does not add up. You either lying about your body count, and we know women don't lie to make their body counts bigger. Or you lying about you can't approach a man, or you lying about if a man approach you, you can't be with him, you don't like him no more. So what the hell's going on here? That's what you're facing. Impossible attitude. And now we're seeing the 3 ways to deal with it. We're right for doing what we got to do, leaving them. That's a good thing. But we must also understand the importance of being able to call the police on them when we are in another jurisdiction and some of them are following us. We must also make sure that we remain in a position to be able to call local authorities help when they come harassing us, because they'll do it. You mess around, you can be in Bangkok and you with a Thai wife, and when them see you and come want to fight you and that woman, you make sure you're in a position where you can be the one to call the cops. And the other thing too, one thing we need to start telling not only our buddies, these men in these other countries, but we also need to start telling them to tell the ladies and their families, and we need to tell the ladies of our lives in these countries. If they come to you with this feminism and this misandry and this hatred, don't listen. But if they follow you with that, you haul off and hit them. You knock their block off. You shock the knit out of them. That's how you got to do it. That's how we got to tell them. It is important that all three of these things remain possibilities: being abandoned, going to jail, and being knocked out, not even by us, but by other women. You got enough of them sitting up calling us bullet bags now, talking about they actually enjoy seeing other races of police officers manhandle us. You got them saying this. Now I'm going to say to you that unfortunately, not even out of hatred, but because of the necessity of the results of this, we must look forward to the day that a non-sister or a non-Western sister knocks out a Western sister with all that attitude and is caught on camera and recorded and goes viral. Not because we hate them, but because we know that that's going to be a turning point, and it's a necessary turning point. And now we have to wait for that because of how important Western sisters have made that turning point. In order to keep the tide worldwide in our favor against them. I regret even having to talk in these terms, in our favor against them, but this is the play they dealt a long time ago. Us versus them. And it's largely because they are trying to change the culture so that the police in other countries will act towards us just like the police in the United States will when they call 911 on us. That's what they're trying to do. That's part of what they're trying to do. They're not only traveling abroad to stop us from having any better options than Boom Chic and Bonquisha and Sophista Ratchet, Neck Roll, and Sapphire back home. It's not only to turn the local women into them. It's not just that. It is, that's a part of it, but a part of what they want is also for the society to change so that when they call 911 on us, the police show up and we automatically got to go to jail unless there's video evidence or bruises that prove that we were the ones attacked. That's why. That's what they're looking for. They want the day to come when everybody knows that if you were tired of this black American man, just call 911 and they'll believe you. So I told you not to underestimate them. Enjoy your freedom, gentlemen, but make moves to protect it because they are making moves to encroach on it. And we're now seeing the three things that stifle them. And we're also seeing the reasons that they don't, not what they're trying to accomplish when I say reasons, but we see the reasons that they have that attitude in the first place where they won't quit. It's because they believe it's who they are. I hope this helps you. Thanks again to Crimson Cure, Dennis Sperling, Passport OG for clarifying this. And for accountability commentary for letting me know what this lady's name is. I hope that you apply this in real life later. And if it's ever helped you at all, please come in the comments and tell me and my audience. Tell my audience and me about how it's helped. As always, thank you for listening. Black Heart, Black Mind, Black Out, Assalamu Alaikum, Black Heterosexual, Non-Select Male Power just because they don't like it. Black Patriarchy until extinction to Judgment Day. Thanks for flying again with us on Jet Black Airways, where Jet Black is also a verb. If you have not already done so, you may punch the Cash App on your way out of the Jet Black aircraft at the end of this flight. Gender, justice, forever.